And welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. I am your host, Ramon Preston. Vaughn, can you close that door for me right here? That's one thing we forgot. I am your host, Ramon Preston, and I'm super excited, ladies and gentlemen. We have a lot going on at our headquarters today. We are actually hosting our weekly Millionaire Headquarters Day. So we have a few mentees that are in the office with us today, and they're learning so much on how to run an organizational enterprise, and I'm teaching them the game. So welcome to the Ramon Preston Show. I'm your host, Ramon Preston, and today's show, I'm going to be talking to you about the facts concerning income classes. Facts about income classes. So if you've been following me for the past few shows that we've hosted, I've been talking a lot about the income ladder of success. I've been talking a lot about income classes. And I think just for the purpose of this discussion today, I think I'm just going to go ahead and pull up our income ladder. This is the diagram that we've been using to explain what the income ladder of success is, how it works, and why you need to have a big understanding, like a huge understanding of it. So today I want to talk about facts about income classes. Now, before I get started, here's what I want you to do. If you're watching us or if you're listening to us on any platform that gives you the capability of making comments, engaging us, and sharing some feedback during the viewing of this show today, I want you to feel free to drop any questions that you may have in the comments. If you cannot drop anything in the comments, if you cannot engage and give feedback during the show, feel free to send any of your questions to info@RamonPreston.com. info@RamonPreston.com. Now, for those of you that can comment, that can engage, please let us know where you're watching us from. Let us know how the Ramon Preston Show has brought value to you from a personal, professional, and even from a financial perspective. I am super excited about all the success stories that we hear, all the testimonies, praise reports, and all the amazing things that people are doing in their personal lives, in their professional lives, and in their financial lives because of information that we share on the Ramon Preston Show. So let's talk about some facts. Let's talk about some facts that are central to income classes. All right. Now, I'm going to give you an offer as well at the end of the show. If you are interested in spending a day with me, I'm going to give you an offer that you should, if you are very serious about taking your business or your finances to the next level, if you're serious about learning more about sales and marketing, if you're serious about really becoming a professional in the products and the services that you offer, or in the business that you are building and running. If you're serious about that, I want you to really consider spending the day with me next Saturday, January the 22nd, from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. I'm literally going to be spending a whole day with our clients and with a group of people who have already RSVP'd and registered for our upcoming sales and marketing mastermind workshop. And so this mastermind workshop is going to be a one-day event, and we're hosting it here live in person next Saturday, January the 22nd. But you can also join me virtually. So you have two choices, to either join me in person or join me virtually. That information and that RSVP registration can be found at RamonPreston.com. RamonPreston.com. Trust me when I tell you this. If you're going to succeed in business, if you're going to succeed running any type of entity or organization, at some point, among many other things, you're going to have to learn about sales and marketing. And even for nonprofit leaders, understand you may not be selling the way for-profit entities are selling, but you're still in the pursuit of generating revenue. Why do you want to generate revenue as a nonprofit? Because you have people to serve, you have things to do, you want to accomplish your mission, and it's going to require revenue. Revenue is just another word for sales. And of course, your revenue is going to be dependent upon your marketing. If people don't know you, if you don't get the attention, you're not going to be able to make conversions. And so I want you to consider joining me for one day. Come spend the day with me and my team so we can show you everything that we know and everything that we're doing to continue to scale our business into 8 and 9 figures, because we're already a 7-figure business. And so I'm very humbled, I'm honored, I'm appreciative, I'm grateful to be in the position that I'm in, to share with my family, with my tribe, with my community, with my people, what I have done to get to where I am. So today, we want to talk on facts, okay? Not lies, but we want to talk on facts about income classes. Facts about income classes. Now, I wanted to pull this up just to show you, because we just launched a new series on our Millionaire Blueprint, the online program that we have. We just launched a new series entitled The Income Ladder of Success. And so we've literally provided a lot of training and a lot of information on what this income ladder of success is and what it should mean to you. But just for the purpose of today's show, when we're discussing these facts about income classes, I just want you to have a visual depiction of what I'm actually talking about. So the income ladder of success is literally a ladder. It is made up of 8 stages of income classes. That's what the income ladder of success is. So each of these 8 income classes that make up this ladder of success, they represent not only a dollar amount, but they also represent a certain percentage of households, particularly in the United States of America. So just to make sure that you're clear on what we're going to be talking about, we have the poor class. The poor class represents anyone who makes $32,000 a year or less. Categorically, I'm not saying you poor, I'm not saying you trifling, I'm just saying according to statistics and studies and surveys and economic data, that individual in this class or category would be considered poor class because they make $32,000 or less, and that represents 29% of households in the United States of America. So pretty much 3 out of every 10 households in America is considered poor class. All right. Now, you could give or take a few percentage, but for the most part, 3 people out of every 10 people who represent households in the United States of America are considered poor class if they make $32,000 or less. And then we have the 3 stages in the middle class. We have the lower middle class, which represents $32,000 to $60,000 a year. The middle of the middle class, $60,000 to $110,000 a year. And then we have the upper middle class, $110,000 to $400,000 a year, all of which represents 70% of households in America. So that means 7 out of every 10 households in America make up the middle class. So they are the majority. If you're in that range, you are one of the 7 people in America who 7 out of 10 people in America who represent that. And then we have the last 4 income classes, which make up financially $400,000 to $1 million. That would be the upper class. $1 million to $10 million. These will be considered millionaires. $10 million to $100 million will be considered rich. And then we have $100 million and beyond. That would be considered wealthy. And again, this is just my personal income ladder of success that I have created based on my studies, my research, my observation, and you can come up with whatever you want to come up with. But just trust me when I say a lot of the data that you're going to find out there, if you're Googling and YouTubing and doing your own research, it's going to speak and to what I'm sharing with you. So this group of people make up 1%. So only 1% of households in America make at least $400,000 or more a year, only 1%. And so that's 100% of households in America. 29% are poor class, 32,000 or less. 70% are middle class, that's 32,000 to 400K. And then 1% are the upper class, the millionaires, the rich, and the wealthy. And so today I'm sharing with you facts about income classes. Now, in my new series that is on the Millionaire Blueprint, I share with you 5 facts. There's a segment that I have in there, an entire segment where I am giving you information about each income class, but I share with you 5 facts about the poor class, 5 facts about the middle class, and 5 facts about the upper class. But because this is a show, we do not have all that time to get into all 15 facts about each of these income classes. I'm only going to share with you 2 facts about each. So I'll share with you 2 facts about the poor class, 2 facts about the middle class, and 2 facts about the upper class and beyond. So these are the facts about income classes. And again, this is all a part of a new series. And remember, if what I share with you is valuable enough to you that you want more information, I'm going to make that opportunity available for you, and I'm going to make sure that it is worth your time, it is worth your effort, so that we can help scale you to wherever it is that you want to go. So the first 2 facts that I want to share with you are about the poor class. So fact number 1 about the poor class. I'm going to write each fact down, and then I'll give you a little information on each of these facts. So the first fact about the poor class, number 1. The poor class are not poor in mind, ideas, or potential. That's the first fact about the poor class. And I really want you to write that down if you can take notes. Fact number 1 about the poor class. The poor class are not poor in mind, in ideas, or poor in potential. So for anyone that is in this class that makes $32,000 or less, although you are categorically or economically considered to be the poor class, and you make up 3 out of 10 households in the United States of America, understand that you are not poor in mind. You are not poor in ideas. You are not poor in potential. It may be because of environmental issues. It may be because systemic issues. It may be because cultural issues. It's definitely because of education and exposure issues that may have caused you or forced you into this category. But just because you are categorically or economically considered to be poor class doesn't mean you have to remain in the poor class. Because most people that I know, like myself, who have lived in the poor class are not poor in mind. They are not poor in ideas. They are not poor in potential. And the truth is, you may have heard me say this before, I'm 45 years old. And the first 26 years of my 45 years on this earth, I was categorically, economically considered the poor class. And it wasn't because I was poor in my mind, in my ideas, or in my potential. It was because I was poor in the opportunities that I either did not have, or poor in the opportunities that I just overlooked and missed. I was also poor in education. I did not have the right education about leaving this class and climbing this income ladder, which is very critical to you climbing that income ladder. So some of the most intelligent, some of the most dedicated, some of the most amazing people that have ever walked the planet have come from, and I'll share that with you in a few minutes, the poor class. So we ain't dismissing the poor. It's just you, if you're in that class, need a heightened awareness of where you are. Because how are you going to get to where you want to be if you don't know where you are? So it's important for you to be able to identify, not just intellectually, but identify visually with where am I with regard to this income class. A lot of people are in the poor class and they just don't even want to accept that they're in the poor class. They don't want to acknowledge it. They don't want to heighten their awareness of it. They don't want to change the narrative, and so they remain in the poor class. But again, just because you are a part of the poor class categorically or economically doesn't mean you are poor in mind, in ideas, and potential. So that is the first fact about the poor class. The poor class are not poor in mind. They're not poor in ideas, and they're not poor in potential. The second fact about the poor class is that most millionaires come from the poor class, or what we may commonly call humble beginnings. This is the second fact about the poor class. And I really hope you're becoming a student, especially if you regularly watch the Ramon Preston show. Like, I'm not a one-man show just because I feel good about being a one-man show. It's not that I'm just so into myself that I won't even allow other people to be a part of my show. It's just that I want to use this show not just as a platform of sharing information, but I want to use this show as a platform or a gateway or a channel to educate you, to awaken you, to inspire you, to make an impact in your life. And so you have to position yourself as a student and really take what I'm sharing with you serious enough that you feel like, at least for a few minutes while you're watching the show, that you're in a classroom. You're getting a lecture from a prophetic professor who obviously knows what he's talking about because he has been able to successfully climb that income ladder. And I want the same for you and for your family and for the people you represent. So fact number 2 about income classes, or about the poor class. Most millionaires come from the poor class, or we typically call it humble beginnings. So when you hear people say, man, I come from humble beginnings, well, most likely they come from the poor class. Now, here is a statistic that I want to share with you. Statistics show that most millionaires are first generation or self-made millionaires who started their financial journey from poverty. As a matter of fact, studies show that over 80% of millionaires are first generation millionaires. Think about that. 80% of millionaires, 80% of people who are categorically and economically in this 1%, 80% of them. That means 8 out of 10 people who are considered to be millionaires, they come from the poor class. And let me write that down. 80% of millionaires, that's 8 out of 10 millionaires, they come from the poor class. So there is no reason why, if we start here, that we have to end there. There's no reason why. There's no reason why, because 8 out of 10 millionaires today, 80% of the millionaires today, and history has held to these numbers very closely. So that means if you looked at millionaires 30 years ago, millionaires 70 years ago, millionaires today, these numbers have held closely to about 80%, that almost 8 out of 10 millionaires, 80% of millionaires, they come from the poor class. So they started with nothing. They had nothing. So if 8 out of 10 people that are considered to be millionaires, net worth millionaires, having a net worth of at least $1 million, if 8 out of 10 of them come from the bottom, they come from the hood, they come from the guttermost to the uttermost, they scrapped it, they figured their way through life to get to where they are, that should inspire you to know without a shadow of a doubt that, wow, if I start learning what they have learned, if I start getting exposed to what they have been exposed to, I can actually become a millionaire. Because guess what? If you know me personally, or if you know of me, you should already know that I started below this. I've already said it a couple times just in our last few shows that I didn't start out in the poor class. You had to drop an O and an R. I started out in the po class. But the fact that I started out in poverty, being raised in poverty, my grandma was poor. She did her best to raise me and my family. And even after my grandma died and I ended up in the streets, ended up on drugs, ended up in and out of jail, ended up thugging and just hustling and doing whatever I did, I still figured out a way to leave the bottom of this class and to become a part of the 1%. And I'm continuing to climb that ladder. If I can do it, if an ex-drug addict can do it, if an ex-criminal can do it, if an ex-thug can do it, if an ex whatever that came straight out the streets, who got saved in a trap house could do it, why can't you do it? And here's the thing, it's not like I came from Harvard University. It's not like I came from Princeton University. It's not like I got exposed to some, like pot of gold of information that somebody just gave me secret access to and I got to where I am. No, it came from me scrapping, showing up every day, educating myself, literally. If you talk about being a self-made millionaire, if you're talking about being a self-made success story, you're looking at one, you're listening to one, you are watching one, because I didn't even have the money to go to some college or to some university or to some school to get educated. I just had to read, I just had to study, I just had to research, I just had to scrap. And when I say scrap, it's like scrapping to find the right information to help me climb this ladder. Because there was a time I couldn't afford to have a coach. I couldn't afford to have a mentor. I couldn't afford to pay to be in certain circles. I couldn't afford to be in certain groups. I couldn't afford to join masterminds. I couldn't even afford to buy a whole lot of books. So guess what? The first set of books that I bought, that I started reading to educate myself about financial literacy, about business ownership, about wealth building, guess where I got them from? I got them from Goodwill, literally. $0.25 a book, 50 cents a book, $1.75 a book, and I just read and read and read and researched and researched and researched. And when I started my journey back in 2000 and 2001, we're talking about 22 years ago, when I started my entrepreneurial journey, realizing that I wanted to be wealthy and I needed to figure it out. That was about 22 years ago when I started making that decision that, man, I got to figure this thing out. I didn't have the internet like the internet is today. I didn't have platforms and search engines like we have today. So I had to read Encyclopedia Britannicas. I had to read books that might have been antiquated for the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s, but I was able to extract enough data to help me figure out that there was a way that I could climb that income ladder. And so that's just a good footnote of inspiration for any of you that are listening to me and watching me. And if you are categorically, economically considered the poor class, don't use that as something condescending. Don't look at that as if it is to make you feel bad. It should inspire you to know that, well, first of all, 8 out of 10 people who are considered to be millionaires that are in the 1%, they came from here, including the person I'm listening to right now, Prophet Ramon Preston. And some of you know me personally, so you know where I come from. Some of you used to watch me, especially if you grew up around me or was in the area that I was raised in. You saw me with my hair hanging out, no shirt on, dope in my drawers, standing on corners, selling dope, running cars, thug and going in and out of jail. So that should be inspiration to you, for you to know without a shadow of a doubt, if he did it for him, he'll do it for me. And I got to take that and I got to run with it. So those are the two facts about the poor class. Now I want to share with you two facts about the middle class. If what I just shared with you about the poor class really helped you and you just feeling it and you know, man, what he's saying is really hitting home, I want you to make sure you give me some feedback and give me some takeaways on that, whether in the comments or you can just email it to info@RamonPreston.com. info@RamonPreston.com. So here are my two facts about the middle class. Number one, the middle class is by far the hardest hit category economically. Like the middle class, and I don't know if you know this, but the middle class, did you see that? I want you to write it down. The middle class is by far the hardest hit category economically. Economically, this is the hardest hit category, okay? I'm gonna give you a minute to write that down if you're writing down. The middle class is the hardest hit category economically. It's a powerful statement, because think about it. The middle class is anybody or any household that's bringing in anywhere from $32,000 a year to right under $400,000 a year. This is the hardest hit category. And I could even go as far to say that the upper middle class may not necessarily be hit as hard as the middle of the middle and the lower middle class. So that means if you're anywhere between $32,000 a year and $110,000 a year, you're probably hit even harder than the upper middle class. We're not even going to talk about the 1% right now. We'll get to them in a few minutes. But just for you to know, the middle class categorically is by far the hardest hit category among all these other categories. They're hit harder than the poor class. They're definitely hit harder than the upper class, millionaires, rich, and the wealthy. Now, why do you say that, Ramon? Here's why I say that. Studies show that the middle class are treated like they're well off, but they live like they're falling off. This is what studies show, okay? Studies show that the middle class, people who are between $32,000 a year and right under $400,000, especially the 32 through 60 and the 60 through 110, they are treated like they're well off, but they live like they're falling off. What do you mean by they're treated like they're well off, but they're living like they've fallen off? What do you mean by that? Here's what I mean by that. They are generally denied the benefits of the poor class, but they can't afford the necessities of the upper class. So this is why people who are in the middle are hit the hardest. Because if you are here, most likely a lot of the benefits that people in this category get, you can't get here. There are certain benefits that this category gets for housing. This category gets certain benefits for childcare, for food assistance, for living assistance that if you're here, you do not get. Do you understand that? So back to my point, the middle class are generally denied the benefits of the poor class, but they cannot afford the necessities of the upper class. So that means they're hit the hardest. If you are anywhere between 32,000 and less than 400,000, if you try to get benefits that people under 32,000 get, or even lower than that, you're going to realize you are generally denied because you're not categorically the poor class, but you need the benefits because you cannot afford what people in the rich class or the upper class do. So this is why, back to my first fact, the middle class is the hardest hit categorically, economically. All right? Fact number 2 about the middle class. Most of the education and financial information, this is a powerful fact right here. Most of the educational and financial information is designed to make you middle class. And that's a fact. So this is my second fact about the middle class. Most of the educational and financial information that the middle class received is designed and really geared toward making you middle class. Explain that, Ramon. Thank you for asking me to explain it. Here's my explanation. If you study the school systems, if you study college systems, if you study any of the common financial educational systems, particularly here in America, they are overwhelmingly designed to teach you how to become middle class. In other words, they teach you how to get a job. They teach you how to get good interest rates for consumer loans. They teach you how to get things that make you look rich, but they force you to become a slave to those cycles for the rest of your life. So this is why your education and your financial information is critical to you climbing that ladder, because most of the education that comes from schools, that comes from colleges, that comes from other institutions, most of this information, most of this education that people are generally receiving is teaching them to live in this category here. It is not teaching them to become a part of the 1%. And because this information is teaching people to get here, they are living like they're here with things. They're driving cars like they're the 1%. They're living in houses like they're part of the 1%. They're wearing Gucci hats like they're part of the 1%, and belts and clothes, and enjoying life like they're part of the 1%. When the truth is, they are in the middle, but they're worse off categorically and economically than the poor. And they're stuck in this cycle that they can't get out. And so they think, like most people, because I consult and coach a lot of people from all parts of this, all right? I consult. Most of the people that I consult are in these two categories because they're trying to get to the 1%. But most of the people that I consult, especially the ones that are in the middle, guess what's wrong? They believe in order for them to move up this ladder, they have to go get another degree. They think, okay, I'm gonna move up this ladder because I'm gonna go get a second job. And the truth is, none of that works. Because of the education and the information that you have, it has limited you in your skill set and in your capabilities and capacities to move up this ladder. Because in order for you to move up an income ladder, you have to learn about income. You have to learn about business. You have to learn about things that make one or causes one or allows one to move up that ladder. So those are the two facts about the middle class. So I want to share 2 more facts with you about the upper class, and then we're going to bring this bad baby to a close. This has really been very, very good. And I've really been taking a lot of time to share this type of information with a lot of my mentees and students and clients, because I honestly don't think, especially those of us that are in the faith community, I don't think we're talking about it enough with the people that we're leading and that we're serving. And if you are a leader in the faith community, if you're a leader outside of the faith community, just in your community, from a cultural perspective, from a race perspective, here's what you need to understand. Even if you don't know this stuff, even if you're not into this stuff, if you have influence as a leader, you should take the responsibility to facilitate it. You should take the responsibility to facilitate it. Here's another way I can put it. If you're the leader of your family, if you're the influencer of the people who share your last name, if you the big kid on the block, if you the GOAT, if you the one that's leading your tribe, even if you have no knowledge about money, finances, economics, business, even if you don't have any knowledge of it, all right? Or even if you do not want to have any knowledge of it, here's another way to think about it. What if you became the fiduciary of your family? Okay? What if you became the fiduciary of your family? If you don't know what that word means, Google it. What if you were the fiduciary of your family? What if you were the one that was considered the fiduciary of your city, of your community, of your neighborhood, of your apartment complex, of your subdivision, of your church, of your tribe? Well, if you were the fiduciary of your church, if you were the fiduciary of your neighborhood, of your subdivision, of your apartment complex, of your street, if you were the neighborhood of your family unit, if you were the fiduciary rather of your family unit, guess what that would mean? That would mean that you have to assume a responsibility for their financial situation, for their economic situation. What if you were held responsible for the economics of your family, for the economics of your church, for the financial condition of the people on your street? If that was the case, you would be considered a fiduciary. So for example, when you go to a professional fiduciary and they help you put an estate plan together, they help you put a retirement plan together, they show you how to diversify your assets and start taking money out of your paycheck to put in 401ks and other retirement plans that will help assure that you have something to fall back on during your retirement years. If you did that, that person who you're doing it with and through is a fiduciary, and they assume the responsibility for your financial situation. And so I want to challenge all of you that's watching me and listening to me, especially those of you that are in the church, you Christians, you part of the faith community, you are leaders and pillars in your neighborhood, your little town. Guess what? You need to assume a fiduciary role. And you need to say, you know what? Even though I don't know all this stuff about income, even though I don't know everything about business, about becoming a part of the 1%, what I do know is my people need access to it. My people need to learn these things, even if I don't. So even if you don't want to teach it, let's say you don't want to teach it because you don't want to learn it, because you don't want to live it. Well, guess what? You can at least, as a fiduciary, facilitate it. What do you mean facilitate? Become a facilitator. That means point people in the direction of getting the right information. At least give your children an opportunity to know this stuff. At least give your spouse a chance to know something about money, about wealth. At least facilitate the conversation. This is what I do not understand about a lot of people that I see. They critique people like me. They criticize people like me. They toot their nose up at people like me. They hate on people like me. They always got something to say about people like me, as if we care, because we continuing to climb the ladder, because we have assumed a fiduciary role for our families, for our spouses, for our kids, for our street, for our neighborhoods, for our cities, for our tribes, for our churches. So you have to become the fiduciary. That was like a side note for somebody, because you really needed to understand that. Because I'm just sick of hearing everybody always talking about what we finna do, what we need to do, and how we gotta come up. I don't even talk to people like that. I really don't even talk to people like that. I don't talk to people like that. Every time somebody start having that conversation with me, that's why I don't go to certain places. That's why I don't deal with certain people, because you're the wrong person. Because every time I talk to you, you hollering about what we finna do and what we need to do. So what we need to do is come together. Why don't you learn something? Instead of coming together, won't you get it together? How about that? See, that's what we need to do. So we're going to sit on the sideline. Oh, we need to come together. We need to work together. We need to be a people. No. We don't need to do nothing. Not we. It ain't we. We don't need to do nothing. I need to come together. I need to get it together. I need to figure it out. To the point that me getting it together, coming together, figuring it out, starts getting the attention of people who want to come together, who want to get together, who want to figure it out. Because if you waiting on we, you ain't gonna never get I together. You ain't gonna never do it. You ain't gonna never do it. So right now I go into a whole lot of neighborhoods. I talk to a whole lot of people from different places. And when they have a limited mindset because they're either stuck in the middle or they have been suffocated by the bottom, they always have these lame excuses. But there are a lot of people in these categories that I know are hungry. You may be one of those people who you're like, you know what, Ramon? I don't want to be on the bottom, man. I do not want to be stuck in the middle. I've been stuck there too long. Well, guess what? You got to get your information game up. You're going to have to get to a point to where you just put your foot down and say, feet down, and say, I got to learn something. I got to educate myself. There is no way around that. There is no way around that. You cannot skip learning. You cannot skip getting the right information. You cannot skip education. You can't pay your way out of poverty. You ain't got nothing to pay with. Even if there was a financial dollar amount that you could pay to get out of poverty, it doesn't exist. You don't have it. Oh, I forgot. I forgot. Oh, maybe I'm talking to somebody who is convinced, oh, I know how I'm gonna get out of this. I'm gonna pay my way out of it with lottery. That's how I'm gonna do it. Oh, that's how some people are gonna do it. You're gonna pay your way out of this bottom and middle through scratch-offs. That's how you're gonna do it. You're gonna pay your way out of it by having a video that you acting goofy going viral. What if none of this works though? What if the lottery never works for you? What if scratch-offs never work? What if you never get a sugar daddy? What if you never find a sugar mama? What if there's never a fool that's foolish enough to take care of you and do it for you? What if you never go viral? You know what you're gonna have to do? You have to go back to learning. You're gonna have to go back to finding the right information, educating yourself, getting disciplined, and making a decision that, you know what? My dream of climbing this ladder is not about getting money. My dream of climbing this ladder is not about flexing and flaunting and making people think I'm the next best thing since sliced bread. You need to think like me. My dream of climbing this ladder is, number one, to be free, because I don't want to be a slave economically. I don't want to be a slave financially. I don't want to be stuck in systemic systems and structures and cycles that keep perpetuating me losing. And I don't want my family to perpetuate that. So my desire, my dream of climbing this ladder is about my freedom and my family's freedom. All right, here are the 2 facts about the upper class. Number 1, the higher the upper class, you go, the more systems you need. I already know one day, probably sooner than later, the day is going to come that some people are going to go back and rewatch some of these videos and say, man, he wasn't crazy after all. I thought he was just putting on. I thought this dude was just running his mouth every day. He talks so much. We just thought he was just being who he is with the gift of gab. One day, soon too, it's just gonna hit and people gonna be like, dawg, he actually made it work. Well, I've been making it work. I just been consistent with it and been trying to bring a lot of people with me. But I can't, what's the old saying? You can lead a horse to the water. I mean, I don't want to call nobody a horse, but hey, at the same time, you can lead a horse to a water, but you sure can't make that doggone horse drink. So here is the first fact about the upper class. The higher the upper class you go, the more systems you need. The higher up you go, the more systems you need. So let's look at the upper class. This is the 1%. So we have from 400,000 to 1 million is upper. From millionaire, 1 million to 10 million is millionaire. We have from 10 million to 100 million rich, 100 million or more is wealthy. So here's the fact. The higher the upper class you go, the more systems you need. What do you mean by that, Ramon? Here is what I mean. Listen to this. Systems are by far the biggest differentiator of the stages within the upper class. So even once you hit the 1%, the way that you continue to go up these stages within the 1% is going to be through systems. It's not going to be through your experience. It's not going to be through your degrees. It's not going to be through your connections. It's actually going to be through systems. All right? So listen to this. For example, an executive can become upper class by making $400,000 a year. So if there's an executive that gets a corporate job making $400,000 a year, categorically, they become a part of the 1%. They upper class. Now, you making 400 grand a year, 500 grand a year, you 1%, you upper class. But here's my example. An executive can become upper class by making $400,000 a year in a corporate position. But an investor, someone who understands business systems, can own stock in that same company that this executive works in, and that company stock can generate $40 million a year in dividends. So you can have an executive making 400 grand a year in a company. That puts them in the 1%, $400,000 a year, you upper class. But then you can have an investor who makes 40 million because they have stock in the same company this executive is running a corporate position in, right? So what is the difference between the investor who's making $40 million a year from this company stock dividend and the executive who's making $400,000 a year running the company? What is the differentiator? The differentiator is the investor has put their money and their time and their effort in systems through investing, through scaling, through creating passive income, not earned income. So my point to you is, the higher the upper class you go, and this may even apply to any class, in order to climb that ladder, you're gonna need more systems. This is why I teach all of my entrepreneurs, my clients and my students about systems, about processes. So anybody that listens to me enough knows anytime you hear me talk about business, I'm associated with systems. Because if you have a business and you do not have systems, you do not technically have a business, you just have a good idea in your head. So here's the final fact about the upper class. Man, I'm giving y'all so much game today. I hope it's helping you. I hope it's enlightening you. And I really hope it's bringing value to you. So here's my second fact about the upper class. Number 2, the upper class is more of a discipline. It's more of a discipline than an income class. Now, I told y'all earlier, I just launched on the Millionaire Blueprint, our online training program. I just launched a new series entitled The Income Ladder of Success. And one of the modules that's in that series is on income classes, and I share 5 facts about the poor class, 5 facts about the middle class, and 5 facts about the upper class. I've only shared with you 2 of each for these classes, but you see how much information this is and what it needs to do to really inspire you and influence you to really start doing what's needed and necessary to move up that ladder. So the final fact about the upper class is the upper class is more of a what? It's more of a discipline than an income class. So when you're in the upper class, particularly, it's not because you are just categorically in a different income class. We generally say, oh, you in a different tax bracket, but technically it's not a tax bracket as much as it's an income class. But when you get into the upper class, the 1%, it's not as much of an income class as it is a discipline. So in order for you to really break out of the bottom, break through the middle, and get into that 1% to where you're really going to start seeing a different life, you're going to have different experiences. You're not going to experience a lot of things you experience in those other classes, because at that point you're going to be so disciplined. You're going to be so disciplined that you realize it was more than just a class. It was more than just an increase of income. It was about you changing everything about who you are, what you do, and where you're going. So when I say the upper class is more of a discipline than an income class, here is what I mean. I mean that the upper class are disciplined in creating a lifestyle and a legacy. So people who are typically in the 1%, they're disciplined to create a lifestyle. It ain't something they just doing for a couple of years. It ain't something that's just trending to them. It's something that they're doing to create a lifestyle because their lifestyle is helping them create a legacy. The upper class also focuses on discipline because they know they need to be disciplined in education, they need to be disciplined in training, and they need to be disciplined in learning. I mean, when you listen to some of the richest people on the planet, look at how much they're learning. Look at how much they study. Look at how much data that they take in. Think about all the rich people. Start Googling a whole lot of rich people you know, a lot of wealthy people you know, and just start Googling the habits of these people, the things that they do, what do they study, what books they read, and you're gonna realize, man, these jokers, all they do is read. All they do is just put a whole lot of time into these things. They're also disciplined in getting and staying around mentors. They almost all have mentors. Like, I have not met a person that's financially well off that doesn't have a mentor, period. And I'm not talking about the rapper you know. I'm not talking about the one social media influencer that you know that's always saying, I don't listen to nobody. You listening to somebody if it ain't nothing but your doggone lawyer. Like, come on, let's get off that. But my point is, People who are considered upper class, they are disciplined in getting and staying around mentors, high performers, and productive people. So the choice is yours. The choice is mine. The choice is ours. Because what we ain't finna do, I know what I'm not gonna do. I'm not going to accept the status quo that I have to live on the bottom, stay stuck in the middle, and make sense of that. I'm not making sense of that. And I don't care what people want to make sense of. I'm not making sense of it. And as I said, I come from the streets. I got saved 25 years ago, and I know some of y'all that know me say, man, you always talking about that. You doggone right, because I'm excited about life. And for the last 25 years of my Christian life, I've been excited about every day that God blesses me with, because I know it could have been worse. I know it could have been different. I know I could have been dead and gone. As the old church mothers used to say, sleeping in my grave. But thanks be to God, through whom all blessings flow. I'm here another day. And this is the day that the Lord has made. So guess what? I'm going to live my dreams. I'm going to fulfill my assignment. I'm going to execute the mission that God has given to me. And I'm going to put me and my family and everybody who carries the banner of the legacy that I build, I'm going to put them in the best financial and economic situation as I possibly can. And my hope and expectation is that as you are listening to me and watching me, you're getting value from me, and you feel the same way. My hope and expectation is that you share the same sentiments. And if you do, then I want you to be a part of our business community. We have many ways for you to join our business community. We have an online training program. It is called the Millionaire Blueprint. We provide business and financial and investment training. We provide tutorials. It is an on-demand, interactive, 24-hour-a-day accessible platform, videos, documents, forms, tutorials, training lessons that can give you everything you need to literally climb this income ladder. We have hundreds of videos and training courses and tutorials on starting and structuring a holding company, how to file and form your holding company, how to create divisions and subsidiaries. We train you on real estate investing. We train you on sales and marketing. We train you on the most important systems that need to be in a business, like financial systems, creative tax strategies. We show you how to minimize your taxes, maximize your deductions. We show you how to transition from no job to a business, from a W-2 employee to a business, from a 1099 or network marketer to a business. We show you everything you need to know to start, structure, and scale any business, any ministry as well, any income stream. We also have a Millionaire Mentorship program. The mentorship program includes our online Millionaire Blueprint, but in addition to the Millionaire Blueprint, our mentorship program provides hands-on, daily, weekly, monthly, for a whole year, hands-on coaching and consulting that is led by me and my team to see to it that you're able to set the right trajectory for where you want to go up this ladder. And we show you how to put the right structure together, how to put the right systems together, how to integrate the right processes, how to put proper game plans and action steps together. And we walk you through that process every step of the way. So if you would like to speak to me or my team and know more and find out more information about our Millionaire Blueprint or our Millionaire Mentorship program, here's what I want you to do. I want you to text the word millionaire to 678-922-1963. Only if you are ready to climb that income ladder. If you ain't ready like Freddie to climb that income ladder, you might not want to text the word millionaire to that number. But if you are, I will be more than happy to take a few minutes to share with you what our Millionaire Blueprint and our Millionaire Mentorship program is about. I would be more than happy to share with you all of the features, the advantages, and the benefits of that program and how it can meet the criteria for what you need to scale your personal, your professional, and your financial life to the next level. So just text the word millionaire to 678 922-1963. Also, I want you to join me for my upcoming sales and marketing workshop. Next Saturday, January the 22nd, we're going to be hosting it. All of this information that I'm sharing with you about our upcoming sales and marketing workshop, it's only $29 to join me for a whole day to learn about sales and marketing. You can find all this information at RamonPreston.com. That's RamonPreston.com. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you once again. I look forward to seeing you next time right here on the Ramon Preston Show.